There is a cabal of people who have bugged me for a while, and I think they've bugged most of you guys too, at least in some way. You probably know them as the SJWs, the Trump supporters, and the radical Muslims. Yes, I'm going to talk about those three. And again, I'm not looking for PayPal, Patreon, t shirt sales, subscriptions, nothing. So I have nothing to lose by saying exactly whatever the hell I want to say. So since you guys don't know anything about me except that I have a face, here's what I want to say to the SJWs, the Trump supporters, and the radical Muslims. We don't need you. Now, I'm not talking about the people who suffer from actual sexism or homophobia or transphobia. I'm not talking about the people who really want to make a difference. And I'm not even talking about those folks who voted for Trump because they were desperate for a shakeup in Washington. I'm not talking about the little Muslim kids or the Arab woman who can't get on a subway or go to a restaurant with some bloated white dude threatening to shank somebody. I'm not talking about them. I'm saying I don't care about this specific cabal of SJWs, Trump supporters, and Muslims who make it their job for me to care about them. You guys out there, I'm talking to you, this professional offense brigade, all of you. Not the people who might have learned a few things that are problematic or even hyperbolic. There are always people who want some change. But see, for every Milo Stewart, there's a Milo Yiannopoulos. For every Majid Nawaz, there's a Reza Aslan. For every Dennis Miller, there's a Bill O'Reilly. Some people just don't know how to break away from a toxic relationship, and some others just want the world to suffer. And they are pros at making sure that happens. I mean, these people loved getting folks outraged because it's their bread and butter. And I'm just tired of them. I'm tired of them being a part of our lives. The ones within the Muslim world, within the right wing, within the ultra left. Look, you people, I'm sorry, we've got problems to solve. There's a president here right now, and he's willing to put as many feet in his mouth as possible, even if it's somebody else's. Okay? I'm going to start with the SJWs. Listen, I don't have time to question whether or not this trans woman is really a woman or just part of the patriarchy in disguise, maybe. Maybe this person wants to be a woman, but inherently they're still a man, so that person's still a cisgendered evil human being. And also white. Look, I don't have time for that. You're just trying to play up some gimmick to redirect the rest of us so we can avoid actual issues. You distracted us when we should have been talking about Hillary's actual platform. But you didn't even give us a chance to know whether she had a platform to stand on. You wanted this insane world where there's always something to complain about. You guys are so dependent on these ideologies that you don't see the forest for the trees. And it's sad, people. Could the rest of us just promise not to support them? I'm done. The world's too old for this. This is getting stupid. We don't need you. Okay? Have I made myself clear with you guys? Could you just, go listen to a couple of 50-year-old and 60-year-old second wave feminists or something. Go read up on some Gandhi, some Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and actually look at what they tried to do. Because you're not solving any problems right now by being that one middle-class feminist in a coffee shop who's gonna blog in her laptop about how the cisgendered white male barista accidentally wrote her name wrong. I'm not interested in you. We've got too much shit to deal with. We got women with acid thrown in their faces because they want to drive a car. I know there's going to be that knee-jerk reaction. Oh, you care more about the people in another country than you do about the real problems over here. You know what? Since you guys don't really seem to care about the brown women's problems, we have to we have to come in and take up the slack, as it were. So maybe if you solve that along with us, maybe we'll get to your latte. Okay? I'm sorry to get mean on them. All right, I'm done with that. Trump supporters, babes, I'm sorry. It's over. It's over. Okay? We all tried, and we all failed. So can we just take a step back and understand something? Do you understand how powerful you Trump supporters could be if you just swallow some pride along with us, because we all need to do that, and join forces on this stuff? Did you know that between 45 and 50% of Democrats, and you guys can check me on the numbers. If I'm wrong on this, I'm wrong on this, because I checked this stuff between April and May of 2016. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But between 45 and 50% of Democrats who didn't like Hillary planned to vote for Trump. I'll say that again. Half of the disgruntled Democrats were gonna vote for Trump. They didn't even like him. And guess what? Guess what about half of the Republicans who didn't like Trump were planning to do? I don't think they were planning to vote for Cruz. They were gonna vote for Hillary. We're talking before the primaries were over that I saw this. Do you understand what this means? Trump supporters, this means there's a big pile of people out here who don't give a crap about political parties anymore. We could use this nightmare as a springboard, all right, into creating the strongest third-party candidate ever if you felt like it. Drain these DC losers of all the credibility that they've stolen over the past few decades and turn this ship around. But we have to do it now. We have to do it 5 minutes ago. Guys, Trump was a mistake. We can't sit around and act like it's November 2015 or something and just laugh at this big orange peacock until he gets bored with being president. It's not going to happen. This is serious, okay? You Republicans have the House and the Senate already. I will jump in line at this point with any candidate who is even partially good at this job right now. And yeah, that means President Pence, possibly. Look, I'm not promising anything, but I might be able to stomach him. I might. Who knows? Maybe he'll wow me. It's going to be a long 2 to 4 years. But I'm going to tell you this right now. We can't be dilly-dallying. You guys are painstakingly supporting this president who you know is full of crap. We can't deal with this anymore. If you don't want us to help you make America great again, guess what? We don't need you. And I'm not stalling. Here I come. We're going to the Muslims. Sweet mother of damn it. I don't know where to start with this mess. Yeah. Ooh, I'm a traitor, right? Because I'm a former Muslim who's just bitter. Yeah? Well, fuck you. Too many deaths. I'm not playing that game. Sorry. I'm not listening anymore. Okay? It's a different situation. Because 8 or 9 years ago, I don't remember people running around conveniently forgetting the religion of the terrorists in the news. I don't recall that. You knew what was going on. And there wasn't a leader in Canada trying to make it hard for people to criticize even the tenets of the religion. There was no culture of people who decided that it was just the best thing in the world to do. Turn a blind eye to the injustice so that they don't look racist. You know, that was a handful of people. Now, it's starting to become a very strong group. You know what the worst part is? A little secret for you, especially on the right, who think that these are just a bunch of cave dwellers or whatever, or camel jumpers or all that, you know? Because I hear you when you learn what my name is. So, you know, I'm not deaf. But a little secret for y'all. These Islamists are usually just a bunch of middle-class Muslims who just strayed a little from the flock. You know, they want to double down on their faith because they weren't the most faithful folks in the mosque. Maybe they snuck a little bacon and they don't want to tell anybody. And they feel like, oh no, I'm going to go to hell. And I don't feel ready to go into adulthood because I've done things and I've made mistakes and I'm not the best Muslim. And oh no, the shaitan might get me. So what do? They dig in their heels and they try to be ultra religious. That's why these young people, poll after poll after poll, especially when they are the middle class Muslims in the country, you're more likely to fudge around and say maybe a suicide bomb isn't it's not the worst thing. I mean, I don't know if I would go to the police immediately if I knew there was going to be an attack. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with, people. And yeah, there's a snitches get stitches kind of mentality. I understand that, They're going to find out who did it. You might get blown up too. That's valid. I understand that. But if that's the situation, then we know this. We've seen this. We've been there, done that. I grew up in a neighborhood where snitches would immediately not make it to the hospital lest don't get the stitches. So I understand. But this is just a bunch of defensive teens and young adults who would rather be the martyr against some kind of infidel somewhere than the guy who snuck onto Grindr when he arrived in Europe, You don't have to be crazy to pay attention to the scripture and follow Prophet Muhammad's example and kill somebody. You just have to know how to read. So why is it that we find out that these 9/11 murderers were at the clubs the night before, or that Pulse bar killer in Florida was on some gay website, or that there's so many of these middle-class European white citizens that defect to ISIS and they suddenly become these devout people? We for sure don't need you. If there's some crazy Muslim dude who says a couple of weird things on Facebook, I'm like, Let me watch you a little bit. I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out to see whether or not you're doing stuff. I'm here for you. I am here. I am ready. We don't need you killing girls in Manchester because they wanted to see some twerky girls weird concert. Whatever. We don't need you. And the thing is, everybody on YouTube has been there, done that with these topics. Everybody from Naked Ape to Undoomed to the standard fare in between, like the Skeptic and the Logic and TJ and the Shoe and Dusty Smith, it calls to Dusty, and all the rest. If you want to see that stuff, you would have watched that already. But I feel like you're here for the something else. Something that a person who's seen this whole Muslim thing from the inside, the racist stuff. Let me tell you something else you might not hear from the regular YouTube folks. It's not about these three groups. That's the secret. They're all in the same boat. It's the same charade. The same fringe creeps who cower in the darkest parts of the web. They don't want us to talk about the stuff that, we've been talking about in Western society since the 90s and the aughts, the 2000 decade. The stuff we were finally getting to learn from the internet and from discussion as a populace, as a world stage. We were finally getting somewhere as a species. We used to be excited about demonstrating to the world that there was a progressive little experiment called America, and it could produce a mixed race president even out of decades of the worst racism and anger, and centuries of the worst imaginable horrors. We elected somebody declared as inferior a generation prior. We elected that person to be the leader of the free world. We did that a few years ago. And now look at what we're doing. We got this rich, old, white male president who looks like a rejected 90s Hollywood villain, and then everybody's staring at these figureheads on their phones to learn what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to think and how they're supposed to feel and what they're supposed to include in their little hashtags and everything. But you know what? What do I know? I'm just an African-American former Muslim who grew up in poverty and studied education and psychology. What does a guy like me know, right? I'm not running for president. You wouldn't want me anyway. But I'm not anything important by myself. That's why I say what I say. I don't have anything to lose. But I have everything to gain by talking truthfully and hearing people's opinions. Nobody is more or less valuable than anybody else. I don't care if you hate men all the way down to their groin. I don't care if you're a misogynist. I don't care if you hate black people. I don't care if you think white people just are inherently devils. I don't care if you think that the left is evil or the right is evil or that the centrists are a bunch of wimps. I don't care. There are no human beings on this planet who are more or less important than anybody else. Every single human being has equal value. You don't let anybody, any figurehead, any person who blogs on Facebook talking about hashtag this and that, I don't care what they say. You don't let anybody tell you that there's any person out there that's less or more important than you. That is the most deviant, the most offensive lie that all these fringe people want to tell us. What do I know? Not much. But the thing is, what do these fringe a-holes know? Whatever they do know, I ask myself,